Stop talking for 48 hours. Don't initiate any conversations. Don't reach out to anyone. Just go silent and see what happens. I guarantee you'll be shocked by how many people you thought cared about you will completely forget you exist. This is called the silence test, and it reveals the most brutal truth about your relationships. Most of them don't actually exist. Here's how to know who's real. Most people go their entire lives never testing their relationships. They assume that because someone responds when they reach out, the relationship is mutual. It's not. You're doing all the work. You're the one initiating. You're the one maintaining. And the moment you stop, the relationship dies, because it was never a real relationship to begin with. It was you performing maintenance on someone who was passively receiving your attention. The silence test is simple but devastating. You stop initiating contact with everyone for a set period. 2 days is the minimum. A week is even better. During that time, you just watch and see who reaches out to you without any prompting. No hints. No passive-aggressive social media posts designed to get attention. Pure, absolute silence. What you discover will fundamentally change how you see every single person in your life. Here's what happens to most people when they run this test. The person they text every single day doesn't notice they're gone for 3 days straight. The friend they always make plans with never makes a single plan when you stop suggesting them. The family member they call every week, like clockwork, doesn't call you once. You start to realize you've been putting massive, unsustainable energy into relationships that would immediately disappear if you stopped feeding them. This reveals something critical about human nature that nobody really wants to admit. Most people are passive recipients, not active participants. They will happily accept your attention, your effort, your energy. But they won't generate it themselves. The moment you stop providing it, they don't miss you. They just redirect their passive reception to whoever else is willing to perform for them. It's a harsh truth, but it's a necessary one to learn. Let's dive into the psychology behind why this happens. Human relationships operate on patterns. You have trained people that you will always be the one to reach out first. You will always initiate. You will always maintain contact. They've adapted to this pattern. Their brain doesn't have to remember you or think about you because it knows you will appear automatically. You've made yourself so reliable that they've essentially outsourced the entire relationship to you. Think about it this way. When do you think about the sun? Never. Because it shows up every single day without you having to do anything at all. You've made yourself the sun in these people's lives. You're so consistent that you've become part of the background scenery. They don't appreciate you. They don't even consciously register you. You're just there. And the moment you're not there, they don't panic or worry. They just adjust to the new pattern of you being gone. Now, here's where it gets even darker. Some people will notice you've gone silent and still won't reach out. Why? Because they're testing you. They're waiting to see if you'll come back on your own. They know that if they wait long enough, you'll be the one to break first. You'll start to feel guilty for the silence. You'll convince yourself that you're being petty or childish, and you'll eventually reach out with an apology for disappearing. They've now successfully trained you that even trying to set a boundary results in you apologizing. You just made yourself even more exploitable. The silence test reveals 3 categories of people in your life. The first category is the initiators. These are the rare, precious people who noticed your silence within 24 to 48 hours and reach out just to check on you. Not because they want something, not because they need a favor, just because they noticed a pattern break and they genuinely care about you. These people are real. They're thinking about you even when you're not performing for them. Keep these people. Invest in these people. They're the only ones truly worth your energy. The second category is the responders. These people will respond if you reach out, but they will almost never initiate on their own. They're not hostile. They're not using you maliciously. They're just passive. They like you, fine, but not enough to put in any real effort. These relationships are transactional and fundamentally one-sided. You can keep them in your life if you want, but you have to know what they are. Don't expect reciprocity. Don't expect them to show up in a crisis. They're casual connections and nothing more. The third and final category is the exploiters. These are the people who notice your silence and either get angry that you stop serving them, or they pretend they didn't notice at all until they need something from you. Then, suddenly, they remember you exist. These people see you as a resource, not a person. They are in your life because you provide value. The moment you stop providing it, they'll either punish you for setting a boundary or discard you entirely. You need to cut these people out of your life immediately. No hesitation. What makes the Science test so powerful is that it's not about punishing people. It's about revealing the truth. You can't know who actually values you until you stop performing value. As long as you're constantly giving, everyone will take. But when you stop, you finally see who was there for you versus who was there for what you provided. Most people never learn this distinction because they're too afraid to stop giving. The test also reveals something very important about you. How long can you stay silent before the guilt overwhelms you? If you can't make it 48 hours without reaching out because you feel bad, you might have a dependence on being needed. You're not maintaining relationships because they're valuable to you. You're maintaining them because you need to feel important. That's not connection. That's insecurity. You're using other people to manage your own anxiety about whether or not you matter. Here's the brutal part nobody talks about. When you run this test, you'll likely discover that 80% of your relationships are fake, and that number feels devastating. Until you realize you've been wasting 80% of your relational energy on people who do you and to actually care about you. Imagine what you could do with that energy if you redirected it to the 20% who are real, or to building new relationships with people who actually reciprocate. Now, some people will say this test is manipulative. It's not. Manipulation is pretending a relationship is mutual when you're doing all the work. The silence test just reveals what was already true. If someone only talks to you when you initiate, they weren't your friend. They were your project. You were maintaining a relationship they weren't even participating in. Discovering this isn't manipulation. It's clarity. So here's how to use this information strategically. Once you identify your real people, the initiators invest heavily in them. Show up for them. Initiate with them. Build actual, reciprocal relationships. For the responders, you need to downgrade your expectations and your effort. Match their energy. If they put in 30%, you put in 30%. Stop giving 100% to people who only give you 30%. And for the exploiters, cut them off completely. Block them. Block them. Delete their number. Remove them from your life. They were draining you and giving nothing back. The most common objection to this is, but what if they're just bad at initiating? Stop making excuses for people who don't prioritize you. Everyone can send a text. Everyone can make a call. Everyone can reach out. If they wanted to, they would. The fact that they don't means they don't want to enough. And you deserve people who want to enough. Stop accepting scraps of attention and calling it a feast. Here's the final dark truth the silence test reveals. Most people don't want relationships. They want audiences. They want someone to listen to them, to validate them, to surbatame, but they don't want to do that for anyone else. You've been an audience member in someone else's life, pretending you were a co-star. The silence test shows you which role you actually have, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Go silent for 48 hours and see who notices. The results will hurt, but they'll also set you free from the fake relationships that were draining you. Subscribe for more tests that reveal the truth. Comment below. How many people do you think would notice if you disappeared? Be honest. Next video, why people who never help you always need your help.